Welcome to Beacon of Speech. I'm Fred Hunt. That's Ted Coley. Hey, Ted Coley!
Hey, what's up?
We're back. Beacon of Speech is back. Yay! Now,
I'm making sure everybody's behind us in their places.
yeah, everybody's in their places. What's Beacon of Speech about? We're all about free speech, except for this week, we're about free action. According to the United States Supreme Court, burning flags is an expression of speech, not action. So I wrote an article about my hat's crooked. Anyhow, I wrote an article about burning flags, and I talked to Ted about it. We don't want to talk about burning flags today, but I wanted to make sure that he knew that it existed because me and Ted, we talk about what will get us in trouble in the future if we're ever popular. And I said, Ted, I wrote an article this week about burning flags, and if anything gets us in trouble, it's going to be the burning flag article, right? And Ted's like, okay, you're okay with the burning flag article, right?
Well, I was thinking about this yesterday, and you know how they always, and we may have said this before, but I was thinking, how they say freedom isn't free? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with freedom of speech. Freedom of speech isn't free.
Yeah.
So in other words, you could say what you want, but you might have to pay for it.
Literally. You pay for it with your job, pay for it with your social standards, you pay for it in a number of ways. And we won't go into this, but we got our first hate mail, right? And when I say we, I mean me, not Ted. But we got it from some people who didn't like an article I wrote in 2017. They said they were surfing the web, and they saw an article, and they read the article from 2017, and they said that we needed to be educated. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I have now written 400 articles. Me and you have done 100 Beacon of Speeches. You can take anything out of context, right?
And so 400 articles so far?
400 articles, yeah.
And is that that started basically with the launch of Beacon of Speech?
What had happened is after we did Beacon of Speech 8, it could have been 7 or 8, somewhere in there, I said, listen, we need somewhere to promote ourselves, where people can say, what's Beacon of Speech about? This, what me and you do, right? So I said, I'll blog about it, and then I started writing articles trying to move people to the videos. Well, unfortunately, people did not move to the videos, but there's a tiny little section of blog that seems to have kind of got some sort of footing. So I'm like, but at the end of the day, let me ask you a question. Last week, a newspaper closed in Cleveland, or in Ohio. Did you know that?
A newspaper?
Yeah. The Youngstown Vindicator. It was 150 years old. It just shut its doors, right?
Wow.
So if I write for the blog, even though I get all the ideas out of my head, right? I'm not making money. You know what I mean? And the blog will never make money where we could shut things down and make Beacon of Speech work. All those places like CNN, Daily Beast, all those places, they depend on their visuals. You see what I'm saying? The writing part of their websites don't make money. They bleed money. Okay? But you have to take the yin and the yang. So, but that's why I'm like, well, both have to exist because something will catch fire. In my head, something will catch fire. Unfortunately, I'm trying to light matches. It's pouring rain. It's like, oh crap, this ain't gonna work. But one of the things we talk about besides free speech is I like to ruin things for Ted. And sooner or later, Ted will get sick of that and he'll punch me in the face. Okay? But I have something I would like to ruin for Ted today. Are you ready?
Is this, did you give me any warning before?
No warning. No warning. I am going to ruin The Walking Dead for Ted Coley.
Well, it might already be ruined.
Okay, well, that's why I'm going to ask your permission to ruin it. You know that The Walking Dead, the TV show on AMC, right, is based off of a comic book.
Yeah.
How many comic books have you read about The Walking Dead?
None.
None. How many have I read about The Walking Dead?
None.
I read the first graphic novel, which was like a book of 1 through 12. And it stayed pretty close to the TV show. right? Now, Walking Dead this week came out, and the creator of the comic book said, yeah, I'm done, right? The Walking Dead was not meant to be Superman, Spider-Man, part of history, where they just keep making them forever, right? How long's Batman and Superman been around? 75, 100 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't kill Superman. Well, you could kill Superman. I'm sure there's a way, but then you couldn't sell Superman stuff, right? Excuse me. So, my question to you is, Ted, The Walking Dead surprisingly ended this week. Do you want to know how the comic book ends? Not how the TV show ends.
Now, wait a minute. You said The Walking Dead ended this week?
This week, in the comic book. They printed their last one. They said they're going to do a double issue. It's going to be a collector's item, and Walking Dead is over. Okay?
And what was your question?
Do you want to know how the comic book ends? And I'm going to put this in parentheses. The narrative of the TV show has already wandered away from the comic book, and then we're going to talk about that. Okay? So if you love The Walking Dead, the TV show, and you don't want to know how the comic book ends, go to Beacon of Speech 111 or 12 or whatever. Skip backwards. Go back, watch our greatest hits number 77 or whatever. Right? Do you want to know how Walking Dead, the comic book, ends?
Yeah. Can I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know. They find a cure for...
No. No. What was the last episode of Walking Dead that you watched?
Oh, my God.
It was Rick. It was probably Rick and Negan. Is that right?
It was more or less Rick's last episode.
Okay.
Because Rick is gone.
Rick is gone.
That's more or less probably the last
Okay, so
episode.
you watched past Negan and Lucille.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you were past that. Okay. In the episode with Rick and Lucille, and he bashes in Glenn's head, right?
Right.
That is almost taken straight from the comic book, frame from frame, from what I understand. Okay? After that, the TV show started to wander away from the narrative of the comic book, right? Certain characters died and lived based on their contract situation, right? I know you find that hard to believe.
Well, you know what else? See, I never, for a while, I didn't know that it was based on a comic book. And I would talk to various people, and they would tell me things like, I think this is going to happen.
Right.
And initially, they didn't tell me that they read the comic book. And I was thinking, boy, these guys are really smart. It's like one person I talked to, I think Glenn is going to get whacked.
Right.
And then, lo and behold, he does. And I'm like, how did he know that?
Yeah, because in the comic book, they show Glenn getting whacked. Here's the bat, there's Glenn, bam, bam, bam with the bat. Right? So, here's what happens in the comic book. Again, if you love Walking Dead, the comic, turn it off. Okay? So, according to the comic book, Rick fights. Did he meet the Whisperer so far when you watched him?
I think that was right around the time where I stopped watching.
Okay.
But I think I heard other people talking about it.
So he meets the Whisperers, and then there's All Out War, and then people question Rick's leadership. That's basically every episode, right? And then they meet a group from Ohio, and I forgot the name of the group, right? But the group from Ohio, they go to war with them, right? And the leader is a lady governor, right? Just think of the governor, but lady governor.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick is like, I'm sick of all this corruption in the post-apocalypse. We need to get together. Nobody's going to save us. Nothing's going to happen, right? And so, long story short, Rick killed the new leader of the new land that they met, right? After another all-out war and blah, blah, blah. Circle, circle. And Rick said, the time for peace is now. and all of the little tribes united to form a post-apocalyptic world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's mad that the governor, this lady, has been killed?
Negan?
Her son.
Yeah.
So her son assassinates Rick, right? And hand me that white book down there. What is that?
What, this?
No, the next one over. Yeah,
This?
that one right there. So, in the comic book, Rick gets assassinated by this governor's son, right? And then the comic book kind of turns, right? Like a book. And then it shows a man sitting in a chair just like this with a book, and he's reading the book, right? And on his lap there's a little girl 2 or 3 years old, right? And he goes, and that's the story of how Rick Grimes brought peace to the post-apocalyptic world. And he takes the book, and he shuts it, and he sets it down, and he goes, now go run along and play. And he goes, aren't you proud of your grandpa? Right? So who's telling the story?
Rick?
No. The guy, when they turn, his face is covered by the book. When he drops the book, he's wearing an eye patch. So it's Carl. In the comic book...
That's in the comic book?
Yeah, in the comic book, Carl lives, and he tells the story of Rick in Walking Dead 1 through 193 is the story of Rick as told from his son, Carl. And if it wasn't for the awesome Rick Grimes, there would be no peace in post-apocalyptic world. And they said there was no antidote, there was no savior, mankind basically lived like the Old West and had to relearn everything. And they had to relearn to get along. And they relearned it because of Rick Grimes. Now, you wouldn't have been able to guess that because in the TV show, Carl's dead.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can't just, like right now, say I want to write a comic book, I'm going to put this out. Well, you still have to do post-production. You still got to get it to the comic book shop. You see what I'm saying? So I think because the guy from Walking Dead did the comic book and he did the TV show, I think he knew a couple of years ago he was ending the comic book. So he wanted to move the TV show away from the comic book so he could do it as long as AMC was paying him millions of dollars. You see what I'm getting at? Back to the analogy of Beacon of Speech. Beacon of Speech, let's just say we make money on one end of it. Say we start making money on the videos, right? The blog, at some point you're going to have to be like, well, why even blog if we're making no money on it? The creator of Walking Dead is like, listen, I'm making good money at this comic book, but I'm making piles of money doing the TV show. You see what I'm getting at? So you wonder if that was the natural ebb and flow of the story for Walking Dead, the comic book. You see what I'm saying? And now when they go to the TV series, now that they killed Carl, they killed Carl about a year ago, right?
But probably.
Now that they can say, we don't base it off the comic book, we have 10 years worth of material. And so now you wonder, where's the integrity of the art? Now the artist would say, oh, no, I did the comic book, everything's here. You see where I'm going with this line of thinking? So right now, the TV show already does not follow the comic book. Sometime after Negan whacked the guy. So now you got to go to when Carl puts the book down and he said he brought peace between the tribes. In theory, you could do 10 more seasons of Walking Dead. Rick finds another tribe. Carl's dead. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
And I know I've said that like 3 times, but it goes back to who is paying you. And it's like, well, AMC's giving me a big fat check. Now, one of these days, we might have to make that decision and say, well, what about Beacon of Speech? You remember when you used to do, 10 articles a month? I'd be like, oh, yeah, and nobody read them, right? So this guy had a different predicament where he's got a comic book and he's got a TV show. And, the poor guy's, leave me alone! It's hard to do two things at once! You know. But the thing is, you didn't have... Part of the reason Carl was so upset, Carl the 18-year-old, is, I think in his head, he's like, as long as I'm alive in the comic book, I'm just going to be alive, right? But then the comic book guy is like, oh no, Daryl, he died in the comic book in episode 5, right? In book 5.
Daryl did?
Yeah. There is no Daryl narrative, he's on the TV show because he's popular. So, that's why... when we talk about art and everything, I'm talking about the comic book like it's real. Well, they have to follow the comic book! But in theory, the creator of Walking Dead can be like, no, I created 2 different entities. I created this awesome comic book and this awesome TV show. Just like, and a better analogy, because we'll walk away from Walking Dead, excuse the pun, MASH, right? Some people, love MASH the movie, and they're like, I never watched one episode. I actually met people like that. You never watched one episode of MASH with that Alan Alda. I'm like, you are lying, right? Because everybody loves MASH. But I met people who were like, I never watched it because the movie was so good, and they didn't bring back Elliot Gould, and they didn't bring back
Did you like the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like MASH the movie?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was a good movie. And, favorite parts when they pull the curtain down on Hot Lips, and you're like, all right, this movie's great. Right?
Yeah.
But, no, I thought it was well written, and when I was a kid, just like you, my dad loved MASH. And he'd watch the first run, he'd watch the reruns. MASH is awesome, right? But once Winchester got there... Right? And I liked Winchester. I thought he was funny, and I understood you can only keep it fresh for so long. But, once they gave Klinger more lines, and then they're giving more lines to Igor. You remember that at the end? And they're...
And what's funny is that Igor, I think he was there, for the whole series.
He was there for the whole... They're like, the only people there for the whole series was Igor and Kelly. And I'm like, Kelly? Who in the hell is Kelly? And it was the one Hawaiian nurse.
Yeah.
And she would be in 2 episodes a year, and or I'm sorry, besides Alan Alda, right? But they're like, oh, she was there from the start, and I'm like, who in the hell are you talking about? And they said that people like Igor and Kelly were getting lines in the last season as a thank you for sticking with MASH. But it's like The Office. All the people on The Office who would get one line a show, they weren't giving them new shows as soon as they got done. You like The Office, but, there's no Creed spinoff.
Did you like that, The Office?
Oh, yeah. I love The Office, too. Certain series run their course, and sometimes the wheels fall right off the wagon after 2 or 3 seasons. Sometimes you can make it last 9. I'm wearing a Rick and Morty shirt right now, right? And it's a cartoon. And in theory, it says it's a season, right? But a season's only 10 episodes. It got renewed for 7 more seasons. In theory, the wheels could fall off of Rick and Morty. They could lose one of their voices. Chris Parnell could die. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even with a cartoon, it's hard. Now, The Simpsons, some people say once they did Who Shot Mr. Burns, that it jumped the shark. Nobody watches it. But somebody's still watching The Simpsons. They just renewed it for seasons 31 and 32 or something. So there's a difference between, is it still profitable and does it still have its artistic integrity?
Did you like The Office all the way up till the end?
No, I liked it until Michael left.
Yeah.
And then when they were trying to find his replacement, I still liked it. I thought they did a nice job. When the wheels fell off for me is who's the guy from The Blacklist?
I don't know.
I'm drawing a total blank. But he was the new manager the last season. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. When they were doing rotating managers, it was fine. But who's the very last manager that came in? He's a celebrity. If this is a problem with having a camera, because we would Google it on the computer, but we can't because then we'd have to turn off the camera.
Oh, is it Spader?
Spader. When Spader came, that's when it was unwatchable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. Spader's a jerk. He's but James Spader, to me, Michael Scott didn't kill the Office. Michael Scott leaving didn't kill The Office. James Spader coming in killed The Office.
Yeah.
Remember, because there was a few interim guys, like they're trying to find a replacement. It was James Spader that killed The Office. But like I said, there's a lot of shows like that, and people feel different. And you talked about this. Didn't you say you knew... We'll go back to MASH. Didn't you say that you knew somebody who, when McLean Stevenson left, they didn't watch it anymore? That they love McLean Stevenson?
Well, I always thought the original cast was the best.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure that, there were a lot of people who did that.
Yeah. But Trapper John, he was popular. He got his own spin-off.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know hardly anybody like our age. No, I'm not talking about like my kids, right? Anybody our age, did you ever watch MASH? Oh yeah, I watched the movie, I watched these, I watched it here, blah, blah, blah. Nobody never watched MASH. Like, MASH? What's this TV show you're talking about? And that's the thing. Nowadays, they're like, do you watch Walking Dead? I don't have AMC. You see? Mm-hmm. And so now there's no cultural phenomenons that everybody watches except for like the NBA playoffs, the NFL, stuff like that. Which pulls us into our next topic, okay? Which is Kawhi Leonard, okay? Have you been watching the NBA reality show?
No.
NBA reality show, who is going to what team? Right?
Kawhi Leonard is with Toronto, right?
No. He left Toronto.
Well, he was...
Do you know where he went to?
In the finals he was there, right?
Yes, he was with...
Where did he go? He already left?
He left. He left 2 days ago.
Okay, I do not know the answer, so let me guess.
Wait, before you guess. Everybody changed teams on Monday. This past Monday. Kawhi Leonard left, and I'm going to give you a clue. And his agent said it was between the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Raptors. All the free agents signed on Monday, and then on Thursday, he still hadn't signed. And all of America who loves sports was going crazy. Where will Kawhi Leonard go? So since you don't know, I'm going to let you guess. Where did Kawhi Leonard go?
I'll say the Lakers.
Kawhi Leonard went to, and this would be 2 a.m. technically Friday morning, so this news is only 2 days old. But by the time we watch it, on the video, you'll already know. He went to the Clippers.
Wow.
Yeah. He wanted to go home to LA, but he did not necessarily want to play with LeBron. Kawhi wanted to be the man. As soon as he was ready to go to the Clippers, he said, listen, I'm not going to go to the Clippers the way they're constructed. I want somebody, and you don't know, so this is fun for me. I will only go if you sign blank to play with me. And they said, oh crap, we're going to call that team, and we're going to get him traded to our team. So when Kawhi Leonard signed...
And I literally do not know any of this, so I'm going to be guessing, because I'm guessing You're going to ask me...
I'm going to guess you who this superstar is who got traded from his team to the Clippers as soon as Leonard signed. It was like a 2-for-1, like 2 seconds later. Oh, and by the way, they traded for this player.
Kyrie Irving?
No! Kyrie Irving signed with the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets. Him and Kevin Durant. This player
Durant's gone from Golden State?
Durant left from Golden State. Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder got traded as soon as... So he ended up in LA with the Clippers.
Wow.
So all the biggest free agents more or less moved. LeBron, he wasn't, when he was a free agent, he moved, waiting for this year, thinking he was going to get Durant, Kyrie, Kemba Walker. Somebody was coming to the Lakers. What happened is Anthony Davis ended up being traded to the Lakers, and then DeMarcus Cousins ended up signing as a free agent to the Lakers on a one-year deal. And Cousins was with Golden State. So Golden State lost Durant and Cousins. And then they traded Iguodala.
Oh, wow. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, so they traded Iguodala. So...
Wow.
So now, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are with the Lakers. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are with the Clippers. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are with the New Jersey Nets, right? And you can't think of any other big names that you care about, right? All the biggest names all went to New York or Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're all big markets.
Right. Because they did not like playing. Are you looking? They did not like playing in Cleveland. Did not like playing in Boston. They did not like playing in Indiana. That's where Paul George was.
I would think that Boston is a big market, isn't it?
Right. But I don't want to talk too much about this because I don't want to get bogged down. Certain black players have said that Boston is not friendly to black players. Okay? Now, this is not new. I've written about this on Beacon of Speech. Kyrie Irving said he's never felt welcome. Other black players in the past have said, even though Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and who's the third guy of those guys? I could say Paul Pierce.
For Boston?
For Boston. Even though they won a championship, they all talk about Bird, McHale, Parrish. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everybody talks about Larry Bird! Larry Bird! Right? So, Boston has I guess Jim Rice came out and said that Boston was horrible for black people to play. You see what I'm saying? So,
was this recently that Jim Rice said that?
Oh, yeah, like 5 years ago. So nobody wants to play Boston, and when I say nobody, no big free agents. Now, Danny Ainge would say, no, they all love Boston, right? Well, there's still an undercurrent. Don't want to play in Toronto, don't want to play in Cleveland, don't want to play in Indiana, don't want to play for the Timberwolves, right? People complain they don't want to play in Minnesota. Now they're saying they don't want to play in Oklahoma City. Kevin Durant didn't want to play in Oklahoma City. Now Paul George says he doesn't want to play in Oklahoma City. We want to play in New York, LA, or Miami. Jimmy Butler, he got a sign and trade deal from Philadelphia to Miami because he said he wants to play for Miami, right? And they said, why don't you want to play Philadelphia, right? He goes, you seen the beautiful girls on South Beach? I want to play in my... The players are going to ruin the league by being a-holes, right? And again, we are not talking about people who are making $30,000 a year and be like, right now, let's say that you work for Iron Mountain, okay? Well, you do work for Iron Mountain, but and let's say you make $50,000 a year, okay? Just throw numbers out there. And they say, listen, Ted, you don't have any choice, but we're going to close our branch and we're going to send you to Gary, Indiana, right? But we're going to pay you $5,000 to move there, and we're going to lock you down on a 3-year deal, right? Mm-hmm. You're there for 3 years, and you're making $55,000 a year. And your competitor says, listen, we want you to come back to Cleveland and work for us for $55,000 a year. And you'd be like, you know what? I just want to go home. I don't like Gary, Indiana. My family's in Gary. and I'm not making life-changing money. You see what I'm getting at? Now, that would be an easy choice for you. You would probably come back to Cleveland, right?
Right.
All these people are like, we want to go home! $100 million. If you want to go home, you can go home. You could go home right effing now. You don't have to play in the NBA. You can work at Iron Mountain.
Well, it's funny when they say go home. Are those guys from New York and Los Angeles? Or?
Some of them are, but some of them aren't.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving was born in Australia. You don't hear him say, I want to go home, mate. Right? He's from New Jersey. They want to go to big market teams to expand their brands, which is the whole reason LeBron's like, I want to go home. Then he goes home, he's like, I want to open a production. Everything is about branding. And all of it's a big bunch of hooey. How can I brand... Kawhi Leonard's like, how can I brand myself in Canada? You see what I'm saying? He owned that country, and he's like, I want to go home. You'll find out in 10 years that going back home is the biggest pile of BS you ever heard. Right? I don't want to hear... And let me tell you, when LeBron lived in South Beach, he kept his Akron home. Right? Ted, how many homes do you own?
One.
How many do I own?
One.
All right? If I had $100 million, I could have a home in L.A., I could have a home in Ponticello, Idaho, I could have one in Butte, Montana. I could have one in Topeka, Kansas. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You have 5. I want to go home. You have 5 fucking homes. I try not to swear, but it makes me so mad. You at $100 million, you don't have one home. You don't live in Cleveland in a split level. You see what I'm saying? I want to go back home. You own a home in Los Angeles. You own a home in Cleveland. Well, I'm going to sell that Cleveland home, and then I'll just be living in New York and LA. It's the biggest pile of horse crap I ever heard. Okay? It is all about marketing and branding. Because
they make it seem like they're oppressed or something.
Right.
I don't want a lot. All I want to do is go home.
I just want to go home. You have a $100 million contract. You already have a home in Miami. But during the season, I have to go to my Cleveland home. None of those guys have one home. None of them. Right? And this is the funniest thing of all. And this is what I'm writing about right now. Right? We have a player from Toronto, Canada. Did you know that? On our roster on the Cavs. Can you name that player?
No, I can't.
His name is Tristan Thompson.
That's where he's from?
Yeah, he's from Toronto. Have you ever heard Tristan Thompson say, I want to go home to Canada?
No.
No. What you hear from Tristan is, I want to go to LA and bang skanks. Okay? I want to find the hottest Kardashian, get turned down, find the second hottest Kardashian, get turned down, and then marry the closest one with a Kardashian name who will have me. And then as soon as I get her, I'm going to cheat on her with all of her friends. And they all live in L.A. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on...
That's who he cheated with, was her friends?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And people who love the Kardashians would be like, well, technically it was Christy Jenner. I don't even know the Jenner girl. But it was the Jenner's best friend. Who she... the Jenner's not the Kardashian. Excuse me. I'm sorry I didn't write their biography. Even people who live... you'll hear anybody going, I want to... When's the last time... Now, LeBron's he's a big... Don't get me started there. He kept saying he wanted to go home, but when he was in Ohio, he always said, Cleveland's not my home, Akron's my home. How many times have you heard him say that? Cleveland's not my home, Akron's my home. And he would put out press releases, I want to thank the people in Northeast Ohio. And then he'll always say, Akron is my home. Look at the press releases, right? If LeBron James loved Akron, right, he could have went up to Dan Gilbert and said, listen, I love the Cavs, but you're going to have to move to Akron in order to keep me here for 20 years. I guarantee you, Dan Gilbert might have said, well, you know what? We're going to have to see if we can make this happen because I don't want to lose. You see where I'm going? And so that going home thing is the biggest pile of BS I ever heard in my life. I'm sorry, people. You ever watch the NHL and people are like, I want to go back home to Winnipeg. You don't hear it. You don't hear any of that crap. It is their excuse to go to major markets. That's all it is. I don't like Oklahoma City. I only make $100 million. Garbage.
Yeah, I didn't know that all that happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And all of them are like, don't hate us. We only want to go home. You, for $100 million, you could take your whole family, and you know what? You can move them all to Mexico City. And that's your new home. Well, we're all living in Mexico City. So, I don't want to hear any of that. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over. It just makes me furious. I wish we could take calls. Caller 1, click. Caller 2, screw you, hang up. I'm right, you're off the air. Talking about other things you don't know about. This week, the women in women's soccer, they made it to the championship game in the World Cup. Did you know that?
Sort of, yeah.
Do you care?
No.
Did you know they won the World Cup today?
No, I did not know that.
Yes, they did. Do you care?
No.
Have
they ever done that before?
Yeah, they won the last one. 4 years ago, they won the Women's World. They won back-to-back World Cups. Now, does Fred love the Women's World Cup?
Yeah.
Fred loves it because it's soccer. It's not stupid basketball. Fred Hunt, would you rather watch the NBA Finals or Women's World Cup soccer? I'd rather watch Women's World Cup soccer. Okay, I love soccer. I love all types of soccer, top to bottom. Love it more than basketball.
You think Joe was watching?
He might be. The point of my story is I'm not the right person to ask. Okay? But you are, because you're a casual fan. Even though they won back-to-back World Cups, do you have any interest in watching soccer?
No.
Okay. Now,
you honestly think Joe maybe was watching that?
He might have been.
Really?
Maybe casually. I think, and this is what I'm working on, and I just did an article yesterday about Women's World Cup. And so this is why I want your arguments, okay? The U.S. women's team is arguably the best team in the world, right? People love a winner, okay? They love Serena Williams. They love the women's national team in basketball when they win. You see, and so they love winning. But when's the last time you actually watched a women's tennis match?
I actually going through the channels, I'll come across it and I might watch like a minute or two.
Yeah. What about, let's just say there's only women's basketball and men's basketball. Would you rather watch high school men's basketball?
Oh,
go ahead.
Let me just say that at the same time as I'm going through the channels, I'll come across an infomercial on like a knife or something, and I'll watch that for a couple seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's...
Well, let me get where I'm going. Would you rather watch a high school basketball game or WNBA? Let's say the St. Ignatius was playing St. Ed's in basketball. Would you rather watch that or WNBA? A regular season game.
Wait a minute, what?
Would you rather watch St. Ed's versus St. Ignatius in basketball, high school, or a regular season WNBA game that two girls teams you've never seen before?
Wow.
High school basketball or WNBA?
I would probably watch WNBA, but I'm not sure. It's like neither one of those things I really want to watch.
Well, that's where I'm going. I love soccer. I would rather watch, if the women's national team is playing World Cup Championship, I'd rather watch that than MLS regular season, right? But if you said quality of play, okay, you take the women's team that just won back-to-back World Cups, and you put them against the worst team in Major League Soccer. The worst team in Major League Soccer would win 8-0, okay? if you played them against you played the women's national team against the B team in Ukraine, you know who's going to win? The B team in Ukraine, right? Americans love the women because they're at the top of the profession and they love winners, okay? But if you come down to brass tacks, if you look at the ball movement, the shots, the quality of the goalkeeping, the athleticism of the athletes, I would say that the U.S. women's team is about the 2,000th best team in the world, if you count all the men and women together. You see where I'm going with this? So, but you are a casual fan and you had no interest because you just don't like soccer, right?
Yeah.
So you just don't want to watch. But if I turn on a game, would you be able to tell, say you blurred the TV screen. You blurred the TV screen. Would you be able to tell between women playing and, say, like top-level men playing? You see what I'm asking?
Where if you blurred and you couldn't tell they were women, just by
they just look like dots.
Would I be able to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's the whole point of what I'm saying. Because the women are going out and they said they want to be paid equally as the men because they're more successful than the men. It's like, listen, I think you should be paid as the top women's team in the world. For whatever that is. Just like the best bocce ball players should be making the...
So it sounds like we're probably going to be getting more hate, man.
Yes, because it's the same thing as golf. I hate golf. I don't like watching it. I don't even watch it casually. Okay? But if it wasn't for Tiger Woods, I couldn't even name 5 golfers. But I do know that if the 100th best golfer in the world played the best female golfer in the world from the same team. And that's all I'm saying. All these women who are like protesting the president, saying we need equal... Listen, I don't want to hear about it. I'm very proud that you are the best women in the world. And I'm a fan. I am. I don't want you to think I'm not. And if you can... Like, there's one girl, she's got a Nike deal. She's got a Beats by Dre deal. She has marketing deals. She makes... I would guarantee you that she probably makes about $1 million a year. Not salary-wise, but through endorsements. Right? God bless her, because I wish I had that gig. Right? But don't come and say that you're... This is not The Office. You know, we're talking about, you know, where we're doing the same amount of work in a cubicle. You know, it doesn't matter whether... And for our old work, whether it's Lena or Rick, they both make sales. Lena makes sales one way, Rick makes sales another way. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, so you should get paid equally. The women's national team is the best at what they do in women's soccer. They are not the best at what they do in soccer.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get lots of hate mail
so
for
you're
that.
against equal pay, then?
Oh, when it comes to soccer, I am against equal pay. Listen, in the cubicle, and we'll use the Lena and Rick example, and they're never going to watch, so I'm not worried about them suing us, right? They did the same amount of work in sales. As a matter of fact, I would fathom that Lena worked harder because Rick, you know, he had the philosophy on Monday and Friday, all you're doing is gossiping. You know, hey, that's when you socialize with nobody wants to work on Monday, everybody wants to go home on Friday, you don't talk business. That's his philosophy. He believed in hitting it 100% Tuesday through Thursday. And Lena was like on all the time for what she did. You know what I mean? I wasn't a Lena fan, but they should have gotten the same pay because they were doing the same work. And I agree, women should get the same pay for the same work. I'm just telling you that there is no, and we'll use Iron Mountain again, right? Iron Mountain is a multinational corporation with men and women, right? You gotta, you know our old fat boss, we won't say his name, okay? He doesn't care if it's a man or woman. look at that package. Make sure you get a signature, blah, blah, blah. Right? I don't think he was sexist, and he wouldn't base the pay off of whether you're good or bad. There is no Iron Mountain and then women's Iron Mountain, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. Women's soccer is its own entity, okay? But people don't understand that, and nowadays they're like, you don't understand. We're better than the men. Oh no, you're not better than the men.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like the WNBA. It's
right.
like they're not going to beat any NBA team.
And in the WNBA, the best player in the WNBA, I think the very best, that Diana Taurasi, or I don't know her name, she could probably sit on the bench and give an NBA team 5 good minutes a night as a sub, right? But you know how many other people in the whole world could do that? How many colleges are there? 300? You know, there's literally hundreds of people who could do that. And now, if I was her, I'd be like, well, what's better money? Do I want to sit on the bench and get 5 minutes a game, or do I want to be a star in the WNBA? But she cannot be a starter in the NBA. And the same thing with women's soccer. You could maybe put one of them in as a sub who might be able to help you for 5 minutes, but they're not going to make money. And at the end of the day, if you love soccer, I got to turn my head around because it's bugging me because I feel it's crooked. But it's the same principle. There is no, name any multinational corporation. There is no women's Visa. There is no women's McDonald's. Okay, you are expected. It's McDonald's, and women are like, "No, we play soccer." No, you play women's. You play women's soccer. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know we are popular in 5 years, right? And somebody goes, "Oh my God, did you go back and watch the one where he swore about Kawhi Leonard and then women's soccer?" He's on the wrong side of history with those two statements.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing. Except for the one time I swore, and I've been doing really good at not swearing. I should be able to say that. Because I'm not saying, this is not Saudi Arabia where I'm like, oh, you play soccer, we stone you in field. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the men make $500,000 and you make $400,000. It's not a high crime. Ted, I gotta start wrapping it up. We have been shirking our responsibility on predictions. So I just want to tell you that I have the prediction bucket back, and I'm bringing it back. Starting our next episode, I was going to do this episode and I got wound up about the women's national team. I want to start doing predictions again. So here's our first set. We'll start working on predictions again. I just want to go back into this and see if we have any old things that we didn't take care of. Okay? So we're going back to predictions. And whose fault is that? That's my fault. Because I like predictions. I think Ted liked it too. We don't have anything, which means we did not do it for a whole year. Okay? But we're going to have some fun. And we're going to get it started again because we have 1 year plus predictions. So let's look over here. These are old practice ones. Oh, these are old predictions. See, this is horrible radio, so it's a good thing we're not getting paid. Practice one. These are old outlines. Old outlines. Old outlines.
Wow, what is that?
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah.
See, I told you. When I worked at Iron Mountain, I'm like, listen, we're just going to get... This is what I want it to look like.
Wow.
This is what I want the outlines to look like when we get going again. Because I feel like I have shirked. Old outline. Oh, there should be 1 year plus predictions back here. 1 year plus. 2000. This is for 18. Ted! The 1 year plus predictions aren't in here. Here they are. I knew they were in here. I just couldn't find them. We are supposed to open this on... this one says 2018, 2020. We're going to do these two real quick. Okay? This is supposed to be opened in October of 2018. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah.
Prediction. Oh, you'll like this one. This is very timely. Prediction. Iran will bomb Israel by 2018. Okay, you like that one?
Mm-hmm.
Why was this prediction made? The USA and Iran did that peace accord, and the United States got the raw end of that deal. That was with Obama.
Now, it's to be opened in October 2018. When was this prediction made?
October of 2015.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, so we made this on like our second show. So the prediction is, will Iran bomb Israel by 2018? Okay? And then part 2, will Fred and Ted have a job? Oh no. And it said, Ted said no, we would not have a job.
Well, does that mean that somebody would have hired us by...
Yeah. And will Fred and Ted have a...
well, what did you say?
I said yes, we would, and it said Ted would not.
Yeah.
And then date of prediction, 10/3/15. Date of fulfillment. Okay, why was it made? Oh, that was our prediction. We predicted Iran would bomb Israel. I thought it said, will they bomb? The prediction, me and you agreed, Iran will bomb Israel by 2018. No nuclear deal. Why was it made? U.S.-Iran peace accord in the news constantly. And then this was made. So we thought that Iran would bomb Israel. So we were wrong.
Wow.
I misread. See, that's why I have to put more time into it. And that's my fault. So we said that they would bomb it because it was a bad deal. But the irony of it is that, you know who else thought it was a bad deal? I thought it was a bad deal.
Trump.
You thought it was a bad deal. Donald Trump said it a bad deal. And the Iranians said, we are going to bomb you, right? And then what did they do? They bombed our ship, but they did not bomb Israel. And then I thought that we would have a job, and you didn't think we would. So you were right, and you suck. So thanks for nothing, Ted. That was in 2018. Now, I look back on this, and I feel extra lazy because I have not put in, because nobody's been watching, I haven't been putting in as much work on the outlines. So that's my fault. Ted will want to look at the outlines after I go. So what's the one for January 15th, 2020? We might have to put it back to incubate some more. So we're going to look and see what it is. Okay? Are you ready for our second one? Hopefully we're more efficient than the first one. Okay. This was made in October of 2015. Okay. Oh my God. Nick Cesario. What the hell predicted? Ted, I don't even remember this. We're going to have to look this one up. Apparently, we were listening to the Triv show on October 26, 2015. And Mike Trevisano said, hire Nick Cesario. All the Browns' problems will be solved.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, that's the whole point. So Mike Trevisano said 2015, because I think we made the prediction because we had never heard of him, and we thought it was an absurd statement. Okay? So
he's probably like a guy who did some work at Trevisano's
yeah,
house.
he did a great job putting on my porch. He goes, you need this guy. He did my Porsche. He'd do a great job. We play poker together. He knows all about football. He said he... So right here, I said that Nick Cesario is just another overrated young guy that nobody's ever heard of. Right? And I guess the reason we were talking about it is because they were talking about who the Browns should hire, whether it was Romeo Crennel, Josh McDaniel, Charlie Weiss, all these people from the Belichick tree. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then you said exactly what you said now. Who's Nick Cesario? So I'm going to put that on the outline.
How do you know that I said that?
Oh, no. Right here. This is the guy you want. And then I think, again, because I did not do my homework, I think you said that you did not know who it was. Because do you know who it is now?
No.
You didn't know who it was then. I don't think you know who it is now. Yeah. Because you know Josh McDaniel, Romeo Crennel, Charlie Weiss. They're all football coaches. So we're gonna put this back. We're gonna look it up. Okay? And we're gonna put who is, because do you think the Browns, and we got 4 more minutes. Do you think honestly that the Browns are on the right track right now with Freddie Kitchens and
yeah, I mean that's everybody seems to think that.
But if you asked me and you a year ago who's Freddie Kitchens, you'd be like, who's Freddie Kitchens? Right? So that's funny. So we're going to put this back in to marinate. I thought we had more long-term predictions, but I'm telling you now, Ted, next speaking of speech, because we're going to have some time off, we're going to leave the notebook here. We're going to do short-term, middle-term, long-term predictions. We're going to get back up on that horse, and I want to publicly apologize to you for falling off of that horse. So let's do a song of the day.
I would like to do the song of the day.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe that it is Ringo Starr's birthday today.
It is.
So I will say, "It Don't Come Easy."
I agree. It don't come easy. That's excellent. I wish I thought of that. Easy by Ringo Starr. Oh,
happy birthday, Ringo!
Happy birthday, Ringo! Hey, before we cut off, can I throw one last thing in it? Weird Al. There's a controversy with Weird Al. Real fast, because I don't want to dwell on it. I think Weird Al is one of the nicest people on the whole planet. Definitely one of the nicest people in all the show business. If you wrote to him, he'd probably write you a handwritten letter back. How in the world does Weird Al have controversy?
I don't know.
Weird Al quietly changed his bio on Twitter from the guy who sang "Eat It" to "You Know That Weird Guy." Right? And people were up in arms. And he also took out "Eat It" and what's the other one that Weird Al did? "Fat." He took "Eat It" and "Fat" out of his concert settings because he said he doesn't want people who are traumatized by the child abuse allegations to be upset. And he says, at the end of the day, I'm a PG-13 guy, but there's certain lines we don't want to cross. And he goes, I don't want anybody to come to my concert and even give a second thought about child sexual abuse. Right? He goes, that's heavier than what I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. I respect Al for doing it. A lot of people are saying, Al, why would you do such a thing? Making controversy where there's no controversy. It's the same thing with Beacon of Speech. There's certain things at some point where Ted would be like, Fred, I don't want to talk about it. And we can walk away from it. Not that we are afraid to talk about it. You're just like, I just don't want to talk about child sex abuse today. You see what I'm saying? Do you respect Al, or do you think there should be a controversy?
No, I respect that.
And, again, we're a free speech thing. All speech is protected speech. If you don't want to talk about child sex abuse, you shouldn't have to even give it a second thought. I stand with Al. Ted, do you stand with Al?
Yes.
We both stand with Al. The reason I thought of it...
We're here for you, Al.
We're here for Al. The reason it came up is because I saw it was Ringo's birthday, and then, like, the very next article after Ringo's birthday, it was the article about Weird Al, the controversy with Weird Al, and they said Weird Al has been controversy-free his whole life. And they said he doesn't need permissions to do parodies, and he still asked for it because he doesn't want any controversy whatsoever. And he went to Paul McCartney and said, I would like to do a song called Chicken Pot Pie instead of Live and Let Die. and Paul McCartnney said, I'm a vegan, I wish you wouldn't. And Weird Al said, I won't. And that was it. And
was this recent?
Oh, 20 years ago. But there's a bootleg of Chicken Pot Pie. Would you like to see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to watch now. We're going to watch Chicken Pot Pie. Have a great night, everybody.